This is Two Cooks and a Sous Chef this morning, getting ready to film a really good show for you today. We're going to start off with a soup from the Piemonte region of northern Italian. I was trying to say it like they told me. But having been there, I have heard it said there in its own way, and we hope you're going to enjoy this soup.
You get around for a bohemian, don't you?
I do.
Okay, what do we got here? The first thing we're going to do is cut the pork into strips. Where did the pork go? Well, let's tell them a little bit about this.
Okay, this is a salt pork, and we're going to use it to flavor the soup. And I was thinking today is kind of a cold day out. It's been raining, and it will be a comfort food to have a nice warm soup. So we're going to start by cutting 1/4 pound into small strips.
This is 12 ounces, so you want like a third of it, something like that.
A third of it.
You want it strips like this, or how do you want it?
Yeah, we'll cut it into strips, and then we'll cube it, because we're going to saute it in some,
Actually, today we're doing a lot of comfort food, aren't we?
today the whole menu is comfort food, and I think, you know, going into the winter months, there'll be recipes that you can fix.
I know,
and
I'm just
enjoy.
cutting it all up because then I'm going to freeze it in the next soup. I'll have it ready for the next soup.
This is what we use. I think if any of you watched the show on us making chach, we used salt pork, except we didn't use any of the lean. We used largely the fat.
Okay.
I'm using a ceramic knife. If you don't have one, they're very good. I've said this before, but remember, try to get one that's not real pointed because they don't break as easy, but they do stay sharp for quite a while.
They're fun. I'm not sure they're going to take the place of stainless, but they're fun.
No, they're your only.
Okay, so we need onion.
Yeah. Here's onion on the table.
Okay, it wants 2, sliced very thin. Okay. If you want to clean it for me, I'll slice it.
Okay, I'm going to go clean my knife. Good.
Okay. One thing about these knives actually do dull. But this one's fairly new, and the way they slice is just incredible.
It says 2 onions thinly sliced.
Yeah, I'm
Here,
slicing
Marilyn,
it very thin.
I've got a peeler if you want to use it.
You can wash, but I can do it with I just take a knife and peel it.
I don't do either
But that's
one.
much
I
worse
take a
for
really
me.
rough edge rag or sponge, the backside of a sponge, and scrub them.
She needs the vitamins in it.
I don't ever use a peeler. You know, this is what I never understand. When you get down to that last little bit, how do you slice thin? Would somebody tell me? Of course,
We have your slicer.
It broke.
Well, I could have brought mine.
Oh, the mandolin.
Yeah, I don't know. And I haven't ever gotten another one, which is stupid because it was one of my favorite things.
You want it sliced like that?
Yeah, just cut it into.
Boy, I'm really soon along here, and I chopping along, whatever that means. You know, sous chefs always chop. They're choppers.
You know, the thing about these things that take a lot of chopping preparation, it really takes time. And when I make vegetable soup, well, my boys are now at college and one thing and another, but I have made everybody come to the kitchen. My husband's a good chopper too. And everybody gets a vegetable and everybody has to chop. And that way you don't spend your whole day doing it. So I suggest when you're making these like vegetable soups and anything that you have to do a lot of chopping. Recruit the kids, put them in the kitchen. That will make them work. It's good practice. Because then they go away and they call you and they say, how do you make that? You gotta tell them.
Gee, we have butter in
Didn't nick it. We have what?
butter in the refrigerator.
Just chop it. It'll be okay. Cut them in half and chop them as fine as you can. It'll work out. This is my new terracotta cookware, which is a little on the pricey side. I mean, it's not as pricey as a really good stainless or anything like that. I mean, it's probably equal to it, I guess. But you can't find it at Walmart. Mine was a present, a Christmas present, and it's imported from Italy, and it came through New York, I think. But terracotta, you'll see this in a lot of Italian recipes. They'll say, cook it in a saucepan, preferably terracotta. And it really does cook differently. It heats differently. You don't run the risk of so much scorching from the bottom because it heats the whole, I mean, they're essentially clay, of course, so it heats the whole thing and it radiates and it cooks slower. So you get a milder and mellower taste. Honestly, it's true. The thing about it is, which doesn't necessarily maybe lend itself to American television and the way in which we like to see things happen just now, is that terracotta takes a little longer, which is why it tastes better. So the pot is warming, and until the pot warms, nothing's going to happen. So we do still have some vegetables to cut up, which we can do, and the cabbage has to be cut up, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, our onions are nice golden yellow, so we're going to take all our chopped vegetables and put them in the pot, and then we're going to take our beef broth, and we're going to cover the vegetables. And the recipe says that if it doesn't cover them at least by an inch, to add water until it does, and so then it's just going to cook. We're going to put the beans in it. We soaked, where are they, Lois? Just so we can show
The
them.
beans and the tomatoes.
Yeah, the tomatoes and the beans. So it's all just going to go in there.
These are red beans.
Red kidney beans that were soaked overnight, and I think you could use a can, but it doesn't matter. And then we're going to use these Italian diced tomatoes. So, but you could use cut up tomatoes if you wanted. So that's what we're going to do right now. And I'm kind of manhandling all this because I'm afraid I won't get it in there if I try to just take the whole board. Oops. Still I'm struggling. And as soon as I get it all in there, then they'll look pretty. There's nothing prettier than cut vegetables. So we're going to put these in, and then we're going to put, I think it said that, well, I'm going to put the beans in because I want to stir them too. I don't want to stir the tomatoes so much. Then you're supposed to coat all this with the oil so it flavors it. You want them thoroughly coated because that's what you've really been doing, is you've been flavoring the oil and the butter so that they all taste deliciously of sauteed onion. And now all these fresh cut vegetables are just going to absorb all that. And then, I think that's about all we're going to get done there. We're going to take the tomatoes with the juice, I'm assuming. We did this time, whether or not we were supposed to.
Yeah, it says
With the juice. Okay.
pinch of salt.
A pinch of salt, huh? You know what? I got one of these cute little things here. I just love this. This is sea salt. That must be a pinch, don't you think? 3 grinds.
Yeah, a little pepper.
And a little pepper. We got one. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Little pepper. And then we're supposed to only use a cup of this with 2 cups of water, right?
Yeah.
A cup of the beef broth with 2 cups of water. So here's the beef broth. And then they want us to thin it out because they don't want it to be overwhelmingly beefy. There's a 2 cup, oh, it's got eggs in it. Yeah, you want to get me 2 cups around? I'll go ahead and stir this a little bit. Hey Lois, does it say to cover it or not? There's 2 cups. And it's not an inch over the vegetables. I would say
more broth.
Another cup. No, they said to fill with water.
It doesn't say. but I think if you cover it for a while and
It'll be better?
simmer it,
Okay,
it'll cook your vegetables.
okay, is that a cup? That won't worry about it. We're still not an inch over the vegetables,
Once
but
you
they're
add
kind
a
of,
little
they're kind of floating, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you don't want it strong. The vegetables are gonna
No.
make, you know, I make a recipe where the vegetables make their own broth flavor. It actually doesn't have chicken base or beef base or anything else. Put all the vegetables in the water and you cook them until, and it makes a very delicate broth.
And you cook them for 2 days.
No, you don't cook them for 2 days. It's covered, it's done. We will continue this fight off camera.
We are getting ready to make a pear pineapple tart, and Lois has this down to perfection. Jean asked me when I had a birthday in August, and we had a bunch of friends out and made the most wonderful food, needless to say. And Lois made this,
In our humble opinion.
yeah, in our humble opinion, and Lois made this pineapple pear tart. The pears were ripe off the trees, and we have just fallen in love with it. Then the second time we made it was for our dinner that we sold at Boots and Macon's Boots and Black Tie.
Well, we donated. They
We
auctioned it.
donated, right. And we fixed it for our guests, the Ormans, the Nelsons, the Teeters, and the Belts, and they really liked this. We made it in our brick oven behind our house. It was just as good as the first time. And so today it's our third attempt at the pear
Well,
tart. Well, Lois has made it too, but she's made it a couple, 3 times since, and just
We were messing around at Maryland's and we just made it thin. So it's not a pie, you just lay one layer of the fruit, which gives it kind of a pizza-like attitude. And to tell you the truth, the pineapple came about because we just that night didn't quite have what we thought was enough pears on hand. Which is really the very funnest way to cook, is just to take what you got and see where you end up. So that's how we ended up with pineapple on it.
well,
which really
not
worked.
exactly. We had to
What do you
debate.
talk about it?
Well, you know, we couldn't just put pineapple in it.
What?
We had to talk about it.
You were outside chopping vegetables. You weren't talking. Making it up. We had kebabs.
I know
And
they
what,
were
what am I
talking about
telling you about having when you need to chop? You got to have a crowd. Marilyn was in charge of the chopping brigade, and there was quite a few people chopping for kebabs.
But anyway, we have added pineapple to it, and it is just a very
Well-
lovely, kind of, wouldn't you say more of a light than a heavy pie?
Well, it just
dessert.
doesn't have layers of. I mean,
Of
you'll
course
see.
the,
You're gonna see. We're gonna show it to you.
The real whipping cream on top seems to add just a tad bit of flavor
Well,
to it.
touch, but
I
Little
think
touch.
I think what we have to talk about too is the fact that initially we used pineapple slices because
that's what we had.
that was what we had. So then I kind of experimented. I thought, well, maybe the pineapple tidbits would be better because they would settle in more
Between the pears.
between the pears. And I'm making right now for you the pie crust. That's my cousin Eddie's recipe, and I really like this pie crust because I think it's a no-fail pie crust. It's easy to work with. And what it consists of is 2 cups of flour and a teaspoon of salt and a cup of shortening. And of course you cut the shortening into your pie crust until it looks like crumbles, like you would do anything, any type of pie crust. And then over here, I'm going to have Marilyn add a tablespoon of vinegar, apple cider vinegar, a tablespoon of vinegar. Okay. And we have 1 egg, and we're going to beat that. And then I'm going to have her add enough cold water that it equals a half a cup of liquid. This crust has to be chilled. So we're mixing it now, and we're going to put it in the refrigerator and chill it. I mean, you can even make it and chill it overnight, which is, you chill it for at least an hour, or you can, as I said, you can even chill it overnight. And it makes a generous 9-inch double crusted
Where's our
pie.
pan?
Well, we're
We
going
don't
to
need
chill
it yet. Marilyn,
Oh, we're
here.
gonna chill it.
You would probably even have enough after you made a 9-inch pie or a 10-inch pie. You'd have a little over, and somebody was talking the other day about how their children love it when you roll out the pie crust and put sugar and cinnamon and bacon.
And don't you remember, did your mom do that for you?
This is what we put it in, which is why you need the dough. You just spread it out really thinly. It's gonna ultimately go in that, but you'll see.
Jean, can I have some
We
saran
talked
wrap?
about getting a tart dish, but we haven't found one yet
Yeah.
that we want.
Well, they're round, right?
A tart pan is round, but it makes a neat edge. You know, it has a
You're gonna
crimped
put
edge.
this over the top of it, or?
No, I'm going to wrap it in there.
Okay, there we go.
So, but as I say, this is a real,
I'll put that in the
It's a
doorway,
forgiving
because
pie
you'll get
crust.
things rusting in there.
and I just kind of flatten it out, and we'll put this in the refrigerator and chill
I
it.
saw that.
This is the soup that we made. It's like a minestrone soup with a lot of wonderful vegetables, zucchini, onion, carrots, celery.
I know that, you're just stirring.
Yeah, so I'm stirring to make sure that it's cooking.
It's been cooking for probably an hour now, since we put it on there. You can see that it's cooking down a little and simmering nicely. It's like it's gonna be tasty. All right, we're working now on the pear tort, because we've got to get it up. So Marilyn's been peeling away here on the pears.
These came up from our pear tree probably 3 weeks ago, and we wrapped them in newspaper and put them in the crisper, and they're just fine.
JP had the best pears. They have a tree on their properties.
Basically, what we're doing with this pear tort, we are going to incorporate some pineapple tidbits with it, and I have drained the juice from 1 can of pineapple tidbits, and I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to use this as a base for our sauce for the pineapple tart. So I'm going to have Jean put that into the saucepan, and then we're going to grate some nutmeg.
A long time ago on a show far, far away, we bought real nutmeg for something. And we were talking about how expensive it was, but that it lasted forever. And it does. Which is why I think, you know, they used to trade in spices back in medieval times. This was a currency. This was a commodity. You could probably buy a dress with one of these or something.
One thing you find out with this type of nutmeg, it doesn't take a lot.
No, it's
And
wonderful.
I'm going to add 1/4 cup of sugar.
By the way, you won't find this in any cookbook.
And
Except at CBTV, because we invented this all together.
Oh, this recipe?
yeah,
This is an original recipe that was
and Jean's going to
continues
whisk that.
to refine.
And then we're going to add some cornstarch to thicken it a little.
We have put cornstarch in here, and because you know we're not ever terribly precise, and because no 2 days are alike, we got maybe a little bit more cornstarch than we wanted. We started with 1 tablespoon for the remainder of the juice that came out of the pineapple can, which is essentially what we did. And so there's no reason why you don't hear us talking about recipes, because how much to do, because there isn't one. So we drained the juice from the pineapples, which probably gave us a 1/2 cup of liquid, maybe. And then we put in cinnamon and the nutmeg. And then we put in 2 tablespoons of cornstarch, and it was pretty thick. We always use honey anyway, so we added some honey. Lois has been wanting to thicken this ever since the first night we made it. I originally just tossed it in honey, sprinkled it with nutmeg and cinnamon, and called it a day. And we had to add the pineapple juice because we didn't have enough pears. Because a lot more people came to Marilyn's birthday party than we thought. Right. So Lois has been wanting to thicken it since day one.
Well, because the last time we
had to cook it.
we
had to cook it a long time. If you don't thicken it, it juices up and you have to bake it longer in order for the juice to dry up. But it doesn't hurt a thing to thicken it. I'm just messing with her. It doesn't change anything. Well, except what we just said, cooking it.
Yeah, birthday party, you only turned 65 once.
But we're good with it. This is a very tender dough, but it's very forgiving, so it really doesn't matter too much. I'm just going to put it in the pan, and we'll make the shape we want once we get it there. It'll be all right.
Most of what we do is very forgiving.
Well, you know, most
Whether
things,
it's dough or bread or
most things are
pasta.
forgiving if you just don't panic about it. Put that on top. I don't want bread on the bottom. Flour.
On top of what?
on this sheet.
That's right. I couldn't speak fast enough. Don't mind the skillet. We're just making some tea. We have guests who just arrived who actually had to bring whipping cream with them because we forgot. So never be afraid to ask your guests to help out. If you forget something at the store,
Especially out here.
yeah, we live 5 miles south of Revere. We're out in Kyoto, so it's pretty hard to run there, but Jerry and Patty are over here and they were happy to help, being that kind of people. Here, take this over here.
I wanted to try it in a torte pan because I think it would make a really neat, neat
But
edge.
talk to me about torte pans. What do you mean, they got the crinkle edges?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they have a bottom that comes out.
Oh! Well, I had spring form. We could have done that, but that's
Yeah.
not the same thing exactly.
A torte pan is
Well,
It's not as deep.
It's not as deep. Now, we are going to try to make a pretty pie. We're going to lay the pears in a row. It would be nice if you had just, perfectly shaped pieces, but
you don't toss that in the sauce first?
it was a guess as to, once again, the size of your pears too are going to dictate how many pears you use, and the size of your, this is larger. But pears are harvested in the fall, so this is a good fall dessert.
I never really thought about it because we've been lucky enough to have pears all the times we've tried it. I don't think it would work with canned pears. I think it could work with any kind of fruit. I think you could do this with apples. If
Yeah,
you like
apples would be.
Yeah, we've been wanting to try it with apples.
You know what I think would be good if we did it with apples? I think we ought to layer in oranges then. Don't you think orange slices would be neat with
Well,
apples?
I don't, maybe mandarin oranges. Okay, now, you want to throw the pineapple in here?
Uh-huh.
This out of the way.
I like oranges in things. I like orange flavoring in things. We're having a discussion about honey, whether we should put more. And our basic philosophy, pretty much just in life, is you just can't have too much honey. So, what do y'all think? You got any problem, honey?
No.
That's why we invited you. You know, I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't think I could run a restaurant. I have a real hard time feeding people I don't like. Or that you it actually it's almost a different refinement. I guess I don't even have to like them personally if they like to eat. Not just what I cook, but if they enjoy food.
We have the oven on.
My mom used to say, "Oh, I love to feed a good eater." I do. I mean,
We're putting the paratort, I've just put it in the oven, we're gonna set it for 40 minutes at 400 and
It's
then
all right.
we'll get
Just
it.
like home, you know.
It's mine.
all right. This is the salad, which is really kind of cool. This is orange and cucumber salad. Once again, we're staying kind of with a fall theme today. So this is stuff you can get most of the time. You can do it in the winter. So it's a cucumber, 3 oranges, 6 small radishes, mint leaves, which may or may not be easy to find on a regular basis. We happen to have mint, so we're okay with it. Salt, virgin olive oil, freshly squeezed juice of a half a lemon. So it's really kind of neat. So basically, it's a fresh salad. I mean, there's no cooking to this.
This makes a very pretty salad.
Looks like it's going to. Great
Lots of
colors. Okay, so
Once again, our color.
these, you broke that orange up. You weren't supposed to.
Well, it came apart.
It'll be all right. Gee, do you know how to do it?
This show is definitely not lacking conflict.
We're gonna get some conflict.
I thought you had to put it in
No.
segments.
It says cut the oranges into thin rounds. So there's got to be.
Okay.
They go on top in rounds. Here, let's get a set. You want a serrated? What's gonna
Yeah.
work?
Serrated.
Serrated.
There you go.
Oops.
But look at it. It can't help it if it's going to fall apart. They're just going to fall apart, right? Right.
But here's a round.
Okay. Well, now look at this. It says mix the salt, olive oil, squeeze lemon juice, pour over the salad, toss to thoroughly coat, and serve at once. So why are we laying this out?
Because it told us to.
It did.
Yeah,
It
it
said to
said
lay
we
it out.
cover
So
them on
how
the
can it
plates.
possibly matter if we're going to toss it? I guess that the juices mix and then you toss it and then it just lays in a kind of beautiful abandon or something. You know. That's why we're so horrible with recipes. They really don't tell you much. You know what? You can only do what you're told to do. I think if I were doing this again, I would try cutting it while the peel is on it and then take the peel off of it. I think.
I don't know about that.
Just trying to be opposite
No,
today. Have you noticed
no,
it?
I'm not.
I haven't said anything today. She hasn't
She's
said
Aunt Bruna today.
She has a great
Well, you know, you gotta hold your own here. It's too
Poor
fun.
child.
Too fun. Well, I'm not the child, I'm not the youngest.
You're not the youngest.
No.
You know,
I'm
Marilyn
not the
goes
oldest
around
either,
and people
but-
will say, "Oh, we feel so sorry for Marilyn
I
because
said,
you
yes,
all
they
pick
just
on
boss
her."
me around all the time.
And you're watching CBTV.
Okay.
As you see, the true Marilyn.
The freshly squeezed juice, 1/2 lemon.
Well, wait just a minute. We're gonna get this ready, and then we'll do.
That's got to go in the olive oil.
That's it. That is a beautiful salad.
Pretty, isn't it? I think more than that. I never thought about those things together, but I think it's going to taste good too.
I don't know about the. I'm a little apprehensive about the radishes myself.
You don't like radishes?
Not really.
Oh, they're going to give it that bite. They're going to take the sugar of the
We'll see.
orange and they're going to put it together.
You know what they do? They always squeeze it upside down, and the seeds don't come out.
Well, they can't squeeze upside down and use a squeezer. I thought about using my hands. I was trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, I know.
Well, what do you know? See, I try to do it right.
I'll get a teaspoon and we'll take it.
Just get the strainer over there.
See,
Okay,
it's
that's
not only
all
me
right.
that has conflict.
Texans? We're like Texans?
Well, you know, they think they're always right, so.
Well, they think. Italians are probably just
They know, yeah. Right.
Hit any of it in the bowl?
Yes.
this right now. It says serve immediately, so I don't believe we should mix this, right?
No.
We're gonna set this over here. Here is our minestrone soup, and it's been cooking, oh, I don't know. We probably put it up 3 hours ago. And
But you wouldn't have to cook it
I
that
don't,
long.
I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all. But we're going to garnish this. Lois can tell you about that. She'll be over at the table, how we're gonna garnish that and how we're gonna serve it. But it's done.
To garnish the soup, we're going to use Parmigiano Reggiano. And this is a fun thing for me because my family, when they came back to visit from Milan, Italy, they brought this Parmesan Reggiano. This cheese is from Vesely, where my grandfather was born and raised. And they make this Parmesan Reggiano, and it's a wonderful cheese. So I'm going to
In
try.
case you don't know, this is aged cheese, which puts it in a whole different caliber. It just goes to show you what a good person Lois is, because she's sharing
Sharing it with
because
us.
it isn't going to go bad, and it's about as good as keeping nutmeg. You can keep aged cheese for a long time, but she's been pretty generous. We made some risotto the other night with it. A risotto bianca, which means it doesn't have any sauce in it. It was just butter. And at the end, on most of those recipes, you stir in the cheese. And we grated this right into the risotto. Oh my goodness.
It was the best risotto I've ever
It was
had.
very good.
It was.
My cousin's
Savory.
husband is in partnership with 6 other people. He has cattle, Holstein cattle, and they take the milk from there, and he's in with these others, and they have a cheese factory. So it's all in the family. Somebody thought I made the story up.
Yeah, they thought it was hand. We told him it was
Well,
hand-carried
yeah,
from
we
Italy.
said
and
it
they
was
said,
not just imported,
that's
that
a
it was
good story.
hand-carried
No,
from
it's
Italy, and they said, oh, makes a good story. We're like, no, it's the truth. However,
So anyway, this is, you want some more?
I think that'll be enough to sprinkle on these folding.
Okay. So this is hand carried from Vesely, Italy. So,
And one of these days, Lois is going to ask her cousin for the recipe, and we're going to make some too. Right?
yeah.
It's gonna. The cheese is gonna age like us. It's gonna be with us.
I've been asking her for 2 years, but that's all right. It took me 4 years to get her to fix the oven, so.
This is Sestola, and it's just a few miles from where my grandfather was born. And they show the area, and there's a mountain there. It's called Mount Chimone. And they talk about this dairy and how there are 7 partners leading this dairy, and they're proud to support their products, and the fodder mown in our fields and the uncontaminated grass of our pastures feed our cows so that they can produce very high quality milk. So this is it. A funny story is they have a I thought, boy, if you're bored, you find things to do. My grandfather talked about how they make this in great big wheels. And one of the things that they did was they would roll the cheese to see who could roll this roll of cheese the furthest. It was like a contest. And when Marilyn and I were there,
We just missed the rolling.
we
of
just
the cheese.
missed the rolling of the cheese. So they're still doing it.
Well, I would use our own family recipe for the cheese, but we have lost it. Of all the things that we have, can you imagine? We know how
Well, see,
so-and-so made this, we know how so-and-so made that. It drives my Aunt Marguerite crazy. She's looked through boxes and boxes of stuff, because my grandma, and you know, it was a little bit like number 8, like Mr. Fraulini was in charge of the sausage. Everybody had something they did, and within our family, my grandma Ronquetto was the cheese maker.
My
and she would,
grandfather Amade made cheese too. Yeah.
yeah, I know. And so then so when she was in charge, she would go to the Certino home place, and then she would make the cheese for the Certinos and Ronquettos and whoever was out here, and they did it every fall. recipe does not exist. And so your grandpa made the cheese probably for number 8 or whatever.
Well, basically, when you have 8 children, there's
You might have made it for them at least.
orders, you know, but he made it also in great big wheels. We had molds that he would mold it in, and I can still see him now. He had a great big galvanized wash tub, and he, of course, we had Holstein cattle too, and they would take the milk and he would make his cheese. He had a split bamboo stick and he would stir it. So those are fond memories, but as Jean said, I don't know how he did it, and I've been trying to find our family recipe too, and I can't.
All right, the tort's getting ready to come out. We'll show you what it looks like. There it is. So
Just right.
it is.
We need wood.
Well, thank you. It's been real fun. Marilyn says it's her funnest day ever, so we hope you had fun also. We're going to, I'm sorry, we introduced our guests. This is Jerry Wilt and her sister Patty Zvolnek, or Patty Zvolnek and her sister Jerry Wilt, however, but we're really happy to have them with us because we know that they are good eaters, and as Lois says, they're very good cooks, and Marilyn, we all agree, and they're the best kind to feed. So I think we're going to sit down, and Lois is going to toss this salad.
This is our salad that we have cucumbers and orange slices and radishes, and then we put a few mint leaves on top. We have a dressing that consists of olive oil and lemon juice, so we're going to pour that over. I guess it would be referred to as a lemon vinaigrette. And we're going to see how well I can do this. I may not be able
We
to
don't
do
understand
this.
this part of this whole thing, but we're going to give it a whirl. We're tossing it gently, and then we're going to fill the
I
place.
just lost a radish.
Yeah, that's all right. We don't need that one. Why don't we, if you want to hand me your flat plate, Patty, we'll just start. I think. You want? Oh, flat plate. Okay.
We're going to ask you to join with us, and we'll say tutti a tavola mangiati, come to the table and eat.